Welcome to Dolfan Radio, podcast of Miami Dolphin fans. And now for your host, Brad Michaels.
All right, Brad Michaels here with you at Dolfan Radio. It's good to be back. It's been a while. We had some producer problems, and I took off and got married. But anyway, wanted to come back out. It's been a while since the draft, and I know that I've read a lot of the opinions. I've read what the fans are saying in all the different forums, and it's kind of interesting because it's one of those things where I'm not sure that everybody is on the same page. It's normal that's going to happen because as fans, we all think that we're general managers sometimes, and we all think that we have a better way of running the program than the guys that are actually paid to do it. But I think that Chris Grier and Brian Flores, I think they have this team headed in the right direction. We knew that from last year. You know, it was a very feisty 5-11 team in Flores' first year. Then last year, they made that leap to 10-6. So that challenge is definitely on Coach Flores and the entire team to see if they can not only challenge Buffalo for number one in the AFC East, but a lot of people are talking about a resurgent New England team. I don't see it, not with Cam Newton at quarterback. I just don't see it. And until you have Tom Terrific back there or somebody that's as good, or dare I say better than Tom Terrific, I just don't see it happening with Belichick. I think Belichick, okay, everybody's going to give him the accolades as a great coach, but he had Tom Brady playing for him for however many seasons. What was it, 40-something seasons Tom was there? So anyway, that's where we stand at that point. Now, what I want to do, I want to go back and recap the draft. The Dolphins were given an A, and in one of the articles that I read right after the draft, not only were they given an A, but that grade that they were given rated them number 2 for the best draft of this season, right behind the Chargers at number 1. Now, I'm not going to talk about the Chargers, obviously. Miami's top needs were defensive end, wide receiver, and outside linebacker. And dare I say it, I would say we also needed a running back. We didn't address that in the draft. I think that they probably would have at some point in the second round had we been able to pick up a Travis Etienne or somebody like that. But those guys were gone, and there's nothing we can do about that. We did, however, address the wide receiver position. So we end up with, and I'm sorry, coming back to the running back position, Jared Dokes might be a great running back. He might end up being one of the best we've ever seen. But we drafted him in the 7th round with the 244th pick. So he wasn't that high on our radar. I think they just decided to have him in there as a camp spot. And we'll see what happens as we move through training camp, whether or not he's actually going to be able to make the team number 1. If he's going to be signed to the practice squad, we have to wait and see what happens. But let's talk about Jalen Waddle, wide receiver from Alabama. A lot of people were talking about Devontae Smith. Well, and I was too. I really thought that the Dolphins were looking to get the Heisman Trophy winner. But when you looked at it, and when I looked at it a little bit closer, you look at the size of this kid, he's not your prototypical wide receiver. I'm afraid and I understand that the college game is fast, but we've all heard every single player throughout the years talking about, I thought college was fast and I got to the pros and it's even faster. So when you're getting hit as violently as you do in the pro game, I don't know if we're going to see a guy like Devontae Smith be able to be on the field all the time. And I've always said it, you hear me talking about it, you're only as good as your ability to be on the field. If you're hurt, sorry, Devontae Parker, but if you're hurt constantly, you are not that good of a player because you're not on the field. So how do we know how good you are? So you have some flash in the pans, Devontae Parker, but you miss too many games. Hamstring injuries, that's your biggest problem. And I get it. Things happen. You can't go 100%. Coaches will hold you out. Trainers will hold you out. I get it. But do something with your body yourself to try and make sure that those types of injuries don't happen. Anyway, let's talk about Jalen Waddle is going to add, and you give this guy back to Tua Tagovailoa. This was his number 1 go-to guy when he was at Alabama, Jalen Waddle. And so Waddle's got the speed. He's got way more speed than Devontae Smith. He's pro ready right now. And hats off to him, folks. He's a rookie. He hasn't even played his first down in the NFL yet. And he was down there on Collins Avenue pitching in and helping those people that are waiting to find out the fate of their loved ones as they go through the pile of rubbish that was once their condominium. So hats off to him, and Jerome Baker also going down there to help out. I believe there's some other players, but I know those two in particular. But I like what General Manager Chris Greer did here, because we all know that Tua struggled just a little bit as a rookie last season. There should be no way with Waddle on the field and also with Will Fuller that he's going to only average 6.3 yards per attempt. It's just not going to happen, because you got Waddle and Fuller both can stretch the field, and that's what we need. We get Devontae Parker back and he's healthy. We got another wide receiver that can stretch the field. Then you got Albert Wilson. You got Hearns. We got a lot of playmakers back there. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the wide receiver group and who ends up, if they go with 6 wide receivers, how many have they got in that room? Who are the ones that are going to get cut? So, or are they going to, we don't know. I'm trying to figure out everybody that's going to end up making it. We know Waddle's going to make it. We know Devontae Parker, as long as he's healthy, he's going to be in there. Fuller, obviously, he's going to be in there. And then it's a shakeup. Jakeem Grant, all the other guys that are on the roster that are sitting there in that wide receivers room. Who is it that's going to showcase their talents and stay? Preston Williams is an option, especially if he can stay healthy. So a lot of different things going on in there. But Tua is absolutely going to have multiple playmakers to run after the catch. And that's the key thing. We need players that are not only going to be able to make the catch, but make that separation and gain those extra yards after the catch. Because if you think about, and I hate to go back to the New England Patriots and Tom Brady, but one of the best wide receivers ever at being able to add on to the play after the catch was Wes Welker. And I know that's a sore spot in Dolphin fans because we lost Welker to the Patriots with a poison pill in the contract wording. But hey, it is what it is, and it's what happens sometimes. But he was the prototypical wide receiver that's going to get you those yards after the catch, and that's what we need. Waddle, we know, can do it. Fuller can do it, and they can also stretch the field. So we also pick up Jalen Phillips, defensive end out of Miami. He's going to be that edge rusher we needed. And I think he's going to be able to help Christian Wilkins become the player that we thought he would be when we drafted him. I think that's a key thing for him, because I think he ties up an awful lot of blocks. So now you've got another guy in Phillips that they got to account for, and that's going to open up Christian Wilkins. So we're good on that side of the ball. And then Javon Holland at safety out of Oregon, another really good pickup. Liam Eichenberg, offensive tackle out of Notre Dame, excellent pickup. Now, the one pick that I'm not quite sure of is I think our tight end room is another one that's pretty solid. So we pick up Hunter Long, the tight end out of Boston College, see what he can do. And then, of course, you got Larnell Coleman, offensive tackle from UMass. We picked him up in the 7th round at the 231 pick. So I see it. I see the improvement. I was disappointed. To be honest with you, I was disappointed at 18. Not taking a running back because I thought that's what we were going to do. I thought we'd pick up an edge in the 2nd round. But we chose to do it totally different. We chose, obviously, to fix the wide receiver position and get 2 of those weapons that he needs. I think with Albert Wilson coming back and signing Will Fuller, a healthy Devontae Parker, a healthy Preston Williams, I think the wide receiver group could be one of the best in the AFC, especially the AFC East, but possibly even in the entire conference. Now, I want to talk a little bit more, though, about wide receiver, and this is going to go back to the 80s with Mark Clayton. Mark Clayton recently had an interview with Clark Judge from Sports Illustrated, in which he talked about the fact that he says his career is definitely worthy of Hall of Fame consideration. And to be honest with you, I would have to agree with him. It's safe to say that He left a very long-lasting impact on the Dolphins organization. He was a member of the team's honor roll. He's a 5-time Pro Bowler. He was part of that trio that we had with Marino and the Marks brothers, Mark Duper and Mark Clayton. He is the second leading receiver in Dolphins history, and the Hall of Fame voters are just absolutely passing him up. And I kind of understand, Clayton and Duper in that era, that was the very beginnings of the passing game evolving into what we see it has become now. But here's what Clayton had to say on Full Press Radio. And he said, "I believe I belong there because I don't know what else I could base it on besides the numbers and stuff." And he said, "I don't really like going back and forth with guys' numbers, but if you look at Harold Carmichael's numbers, he played in the same era that I did, and he played for 13 years. I played 11. He got maybe a few more catches, 590. Clayton got 582. A couple of more yards, 8,985 for Carmichael, 8,974 for Mark Clayton. But Clayton got more touchdowns, 84 to 79. Excuse me. So here's my questioning, and I understand that Mark's questioning also. If Harold Carmichael, with just, 8 more catches, but 11 more yards, but not even as many touchdowns. He's beat in touchdowns by 5. If Harold Carmichael is elected into the Pro Football Hall of Fame with his numbers, why isn't Clayton there? So Clayton finished up saying, "Look, I feel like I'm definitely worthy and would be quite honored if I could get that call. I think that would really put the icing on my career, even though I didn't win a Super Bowl." He said, "And since Dan is in, I think I had a nice hand at getting him there. I feel like I deserve, and I belong there also." Now, I just pointed it out with the stats. Clayton, he's definitely got some very valid points, very valid arguments. If you think about it, he twice led the National Football League in touchdown receptions. 1984, and then that was year he caught 18 touchdowns. He helped Marino set NFL records for single season passing yards, 5,084, and of course we all know the touchdown passes, 48. He also caught 2 touchdown passes in the playoff games that we had that year before we got beat. And I think one of the things that everybody knocks him on, of course they could have knocked Marino on this, but Marino put up prolific numbers. But Clayton never won a Super Bowl. I know Danny didn't win one either, and neither did Mark Duper. But I just think based on, and we're starting to see some of these receivers from that era that maybe didn't win some championships and didn't win a whole lot of playoff games are being recognized for their regular season offerings, what they did and what they meant to their teams. So we're beginning to see that. I think there's a good possibility that we can see Mark Clayton getting that call from the Hall. I certainly hope it happens. And if it happens, I'm certainly hoping I'm going to be sitting across and having dinner with him someday again, like I did 2 years ago on opening day with him and Mark Duper. That was a fun evening and certainly a wonderful time that I'll never forget. And then, of course, I spent the next day at the sportsbook with Duper watching, of course, our Dolphins get destroyed by New England, but that was Coach Flores' first game. But anyway, so that's what I wanted to talk about. I know it's been a while since we did the show. This one isn't quite as long as we're usually going to have them. I just wanted to come out here, have a quick show, talk to everybody, let you know we're going to be back. The set's back up, and boy, these lights are hot. So I'm going to have to get used to that. But anyway, that's a wrap for this week, Miami Dolphins fans. This is Dolfan Radio. I'm Brad Michaels, your host. We'll see you next time right here on Dolfan Radio.
Thanks for watching or listening. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. And for more great content, check us out on the web at www.dolphinradio.com.